not even sure what I'm gonna say in this, but it's weird. So I started this live stream just because I was feeling kind of strange just a couple minutes ago. I brought my stuff out to the garage, opened the door, was thinking about recording. I could see the sun and the crescent moon up there, and now a lot more spray in the sky than there was a little bit ago. But I closed the garage door, came back, came back over here by the couch, and I got this weird, just freezing cold. I started shivering. I'm shivering right now. It's 18 degrees. I checked on the phone, and then of course that struck me. Of course, the 6 times 3. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna just start live streaming just anyway because I shouldn't be this cold. It was one of those. It's one of those deep feelings of a knowing, like your intuition says, this isn't natural. It's one of those things. So I decided to start recording. So things I was looking at earlier, the reasons I had thought about recording something anyway. I had taken some screenshots of some more words. I was going to talk about the difference between knowing and belief, and how knowing dispels belief, and actually looking at those words themselves, because it really does. And then my heart is racing a touch. Yeah, it's kind of odd. Anyway, yeah, for me, a few years ago, I can't pinpoint when exactly. It was one of the most profoundly deep, horrifying realizations I had was that my whole view of reality was based entirely on belief, and none of it was knowing. Then the belief started to shatter from there as I started to search. But so I was going to get into that whole thing a bit. And also what knowing is, and it comes from GNO, know, which it leads to a whole bunch of other words. It's the root of a lot of things, but it's knowing, gnosis, know this, you know what I mean? To know something. To not blindly trust and belief in something that was given or told. To know is to know. To believe is to trust without knowing for yourself. That was just a touch of some of the things I was thinking about earlier, running through my head, and things I was looking at. And right along with that was, a pretty horrifying site you can go to is worldabortions.org or abortion clock. It's something like that, but it ticks off these numbers of abortions. And then when you think into that and you feel empathetically into that and you feel that connection of just life to life, that's a little boy or a little girl each time that number clicks off. That's not going to get a chance to see the sun and the moon. Then that was going to lead me into a whole bunch of other things about so much more profound interconnectedness of everything that's within us, and then that's connected it out there. I was going to talk about the whole supposed duality in nature, though we live in a place that has very clear dualities. The ability to discern and know those dualities is what's important. And then further and more important, I think, is to know that nature in and of itself has no duality. Nature is nature. Nature doesn't contradict itself. In that, You could go, the creator would not contradict the creator's self. The part of nature that contradicts itself is us. Because we can be trained and taught to go against our very nature and the nature of our nature, that deep down, the sun, the moon, the masculine, the feminine, the electric, the magnetic, the intertwined duality that isn't dualistic, though it can be split and described in a manner of dualistic or more ways. But it all comes down to all one thing. That's not to push the idea of the all one thing, like the New Age agenda type of thing of all one. You know, that's where one's own knowing and discernment comes in, to be able to look at things and see the similarity or the contradictory nature of them. As in the ability to look, this was one for me. I held on to the belief of government very tightly because, yeah, that's how, I don't know, that's how I came up. I believed I was the fake name I was assigned on the birth certificate, that whole fraudulent deal that leads through all the trust crap, that leads through all the commerce law crap, the maritime law crap, that goes further back to the ecclesiastic law crap, where it's all man or woman's word written down, crap upon crap. Stacks and stacks of it being passed around, and then folk believing, someone wrote it down somewhere, it must be true. Nope. And then for me to really get that part of it and go, wow, there's way much, there's a lot more to the depths of the deception than I had ever realized it. But then being able to go, oh, so now I can at least look at this thing, this idea, the similarity in the thing, the left and right paradigm, the Democrat, the Republican, the communist, the Marxist, the whatever label you want to put on it, and go, oh, there's a similarity. It's all one thing. It's all the same control structure. And then seeing that, and then you see how everything else is set up in the exact same way, hierarchical structures of control systems, all run by actors in different costumes. Because as long as you're acting on those beliefs to believe in those systems of control are real, and then act upon them in especially ways contrary to one's own nature, as in to protect life and to care for life, one's own and all other life, that nature of nature, that nature of the heart, that nature of the soul, that nature that's been trained and taught out of us. We've been trained to depart from that through all kinds of different departmentalizations. Depart, mint, there's that mind again. Mint a mind, depart mind, because it's, But with all those things set up in those different structures out there, external systems, well, it's set up just like kind of the real life systems that we all have within us. Where instead of government governing and controlling, we have the ability to self-govern, self-control, govern, control, self-control. We have that ability, though it's real hard to even realize that inside. It was for me when I was full of so much toxicity. So that brings me to that's something that they're talking about nowadays, right? It's one of those terms being thrown around: toxic masculinity, toxic femininity. I'll tell you, the toxicity in both is it's the reversal of the nature of masculinity and femininity. Sorry, it's hard to say that word, because they're both intertwined within each of us. It's that nature of masculine protect, feminine care. They're both within us, intertwined. We're taught to externalize and turn it into labels and this and that and that. Well, one side of it is this side's job, and the other side is that side's job. That's a passing off of responsibility, really, is what that comes down to. And then that's why everything's built the way it is. So responsibility can constantly be passed out to some authority that shouldn't exist. Because those authorities are acting on the beliefs that they were taught, which makes them actors, which made me realize I was an actor until I wasn't. But with that realizing that I was indeed acting on only things that I believed, I was repeating things I believed, and I was acting in a manner and functioning in a manner in the physical world based purely off of belief, but not knowing within all these systems, I did a lot of harm. And a lot of other folks, probably not knowingly, without realizing yet, are also causing harm in just their daily activities. And it's not just the soldiers, it's not just the police or the armed professions, it's not just those. It's anyone that's out there producing and putting out any of this harmful so-called food, drink, medicine. The ones practicing in giving out those medicines. Those ones that are actually injecting and putting those things into folk. The parents that are allowing that to happen to their kids, that are giving their kids these over-the-counter medications that are poisons too. There's all poisons in different labels. And really, to me, what's going to change? What'll change it all? What'll change it is when everyone out there who is still acting in whatever belief system that's been set up for them realizes it and goes, nope. Now I'm not going to act anymore because I know better. Now I will change my actions and bring them into alignment with morality and do the right thing no matter what. And yeah, take it for what it is, because this is coming from a guy who, my left arm, strangely enough, not strange at all, the left hand path has the Baphomet symbol tattooed on his inner forearm. The Baphomet, the goat of Mendez, the goat of 1,000 young, the scapegoat, Lucifer, Satan. I fell right into it. I fell right into that animalistic state of man that I thought I was. I thought I was just another animal. I thought we were all just a bunch of animals, all here with, whatever reason we were here. Really, to me, I didn't think much deeper than that. Not on the spiritual level, not on the soul level. And I realized that's what it was all for. That's why everything was all set up long before any of us came along. So we'd already have folk waiting for us for whatever reason. I don't know why, but folk waiting for us with a bunch of bad beliefs already programmed into them, ready to screw us up because they thought they were doing the right thing. It's because that's what they were taught. I in turn did the same thing to my kids, the vaccines, the this and that, the toxic food and drinks that, all the fancy cartoon boxes, all the bullshit poisons. Did the same thing, and it wasn't until 3 years ago, after 39 years of doing it just like everyone else, thinking everything was normal out there in society, like so many are programmed still to think is normal. That's the programming. It's not. Man. What's been normalized is immorality. What's been normalized is that truth is relative, that there is no absolute truth. That's not the case. The truth is the truth, period. It doesn't change. It doesn't change no matter what anyone believes. So to get back to the abortion thing, killing is wrong. To decide to take another life that's not your own, that's wrong. That's the truth. And what was crushing too for me, along with dealing with the rest of my past, thinking about it, considering my own actions and how they affected others, and I made those decisions. I contributed to those decisions. I took life that wasn't my own. Just to put it simply and bluntly. And that absolutely shattered my soul. And I didn't realize how bad, because my psyche had already been fractured and suppressed, and I was indeed insane while thinking I was normal, being rewarded and awarded for my service, and being playing out that GI Joe, playing out that GI Joe idea I had for myself, I guess, from as a kid out in real life, doing it. Playing a fucking game. Sorry for the language, but it's fitting. Because it doesn't even scratch the surface of what I feel, what I had to feel for what I had done and what I had been a part of, once I realized it. I contributed to the suffering. I contributed to the slavery of my fellow men and women. And we all live here together, all in a place with a bunch of different created labels and borders drawn out by folk that want to control, and then teach folk to believe in this label, that label, and the other label, and to think all the other labels everywhere else, well, we're going to go against them whenever we feel like it, and they just get pit against each other and think it's normal. Why? Because the whole thing's set up like a role-playing game, and everyone's playing a role. You get to pick your costume, you get to pick your role that you want to play in their game without ever being told that you're playing a very real game that has very real physical, mental, and spiritual consequences that lead to your soul developing or not developing. At least that's how I would put it. Because I didn't realize I had a soul until I realized I had one. And I didn't realize that there was a creator, which I wouldn't try to name, until I realized there was one, and that we're all part of this. So also, for those who might think that I don't mean what I say, or I haven't gone far enough because I haven't put a certain name or a certain label to what I say, let me say this. Not that it's happened either. I'm not trying to act like, you know what, let me say something about something, because no, it's not like that. I just want to explain something. In the past, I was very, very mocking towards Christianity and Jesus. Why? Because the Jesus thing, to me, in my program state of, that's another thing with us men and women, human beings, whatever we are, we tend to mimic things we see. And when you see a lot of toxic type programming, well, if you're crazy like I was, you tend to mimic it and think that dark stuff is really funny, and then you say the same things you heard, and you kind of act out things you heard. I used to be one of those when I was an actor. Anyway, it was the shock value I realized I could get when I would make those kind of jokes about Jesus or this or that or the Bible. It was that shock value, and I thought that was so hilarious. It's how ridiculous and childish I was. Literally an adult child in a childlike state in mind, and I didn't realize it. Anyway, now, as of 3 years ago, once I got the eyes to see, the ears to hear, I could get it. Wow, it's so much different than I ever thought. When I could get what was being taught. And it comes down to morality, good, doing good, living that way, acting in that way. And that's it. It's not doing it for a paycheck. And it's not doing it in the name of the thing you're doing it in, because you should only be doing it because it's in your heart, because that is your soul. So that being said, let me say, if there was a Jesus, or if, anyway, I get what was being taught, and I get we're all supposed to be that. I get it. I also get that by using the wrong words sometimes, it can pull someone in or push them away. And I'd like to try and avoid that if possible. Because there's some other words, I don't know what book it came from, and I could only paraphrase, but there was something in one of the teachings where Jesus said something, or something was said like, many will do good works in my name, but what's in their heart is evil, or what's in their heart doesn't align with what they're doing in my name. Because the point is not me, it's if they knew my Father, or if they go in the way that my Father wants them to go. You know what I mean? Sorry, I can't do it justice. I'm not a theologian or biblical scholar. And I've only read bits and pieces, but I've read bits and pieces of a lot of different things. And the thing is, I get the teachings. And I get how those teachings have been twisted and used to divide. And it's a shame. Because inside, feeling empathy inside, and feeling that heart and soul, and coming from there and acting from there, knowing what's right, what's not right, knowing that we've been set up, and then acting to change that, at least by letting others know that they are more, that they're not the role they picked, that they're not an actor if they stop acting, that they're much more than they've ever been led to believe. They just have to know it. So I have stopped shivering like I was, I guess, sometime during talking, though I'm still a bit cold. I'm going to stop this for now. 23 minutes or so. All right. Maybe I'll talk some more later. All right. Thanks for listening. Please feel free to share or